Welcome to Real People, Real Matters. This is Diana Tulchinsky with George Tantchev. George, please tell me about your earlier life in Bulgaria.
Well, thanks for having me, Diana. I was born in a musical family, professional musicians.
Oh, nice.
So it was an environment of art and music and everything that you can dream of.
What were your parents doing? Who was the conductor in the family?
My father was a conductor, graduated from theory department of the conservatory in Bulgaria, conducting and composer. He wrote a lot of music for children. Over probably like 30, back in the day they had LPs, if you remember.
Oh, nice.
Turntables.
I remember that.
So you're younger than that, so
Yes.
that's why I'm asking. A lot of music for that, and he was a conductor, and after that, he got his career into recording. So I got to be exposed to professional recordings at my earliest age without even knowing. My mom, who is in Glenview also, is a professional piano player. So she graduated with piano. She started playing piano when she was 5. My granddad bought her a wonderful Blüthner piano there, which is a great instrument. And she also graduated from Sofia, from the conservatory with classical piano. And then she became involved into the pop music in Bulgaria. So there was
pop music.
Yes. It's like a government agency that was in charge of all the pop and rock concerts. And one of my earliest memories was that they were receiving promo materials from everywhere in the world. So my mom would come home and she would, bring like a folder of the Jackson 5, let's say, or Tina Turner or Ray Charles. And we would look at that. And in those instances, her opinion was very important to see who is going to come for a concert in Bulgaria. And then she has to solidify with the directors there. And my earliest memories was that I was taken to a concert of Tina Turner, which was unheard of. This was still communist times, or Ray Charles. He did 6 concerts because my mom liked everything he did, and my parents just loved him. And I was at each one of them, all packed with people, 6 concerts of Ray Charles. So that was my earliest memories of.
Wow, that must be you must be very proud of your mom bringing so much different diversity into.
Absolutely, and then such was the environment and the social and the political situation that you were never sure, because this was considered like Western influence.
Yes, it's still communist Bulgaria.
Exactly,
yes.
but it was in the last few years before the Berlin Wall came down, so the things already started to kind of look a little different for us. It was easier to go abroad, play in different countries and so forth.
And I'm just wondering, why did you choose your musician style? Was it based on your parents' influence, or how did you desire to come to America?
Well, I toured extensively in Europe between, since I started around 86, and then after the Berlin Wall fell, constantly until 95, with different groups, opera companies, chamber orchestras, symphony orchestras, as a soloist, as a member of the Bulgarian National Percussion Ensemble, which is called Polyrhythmia.
Polyrhythmia, yes.
So we were traveling constantly, and in 95, I just graduated from conservatory in Bulgaria. My professor, Dr. Professor Paliev, who's very famous in percussion world, he kept close relationship with other professors in the world, like from Germany, Professor Fink, or from here. His close friend was the Professor John Beck from the Eastman School of Music. So one day he gave me, there was a little, like a postcard that John Beck and Professor Beck had sent him about the first marimba festival in New Jersey.
Oh.
And he said, George, and you understand, in the percussion world, the marimba is something that was the hottest thing, you know,
Oh,
like
yes.
20 years ago, because it was developing. There was a lot of new repertoire written for the instrument. The instrument was growing from 4 to 5 octaves, which is, you know, huge. A lot, maybe, I don't know, maybe 3 meters long now.
Oh, nice.
So in light of that, I came here to see what is this new monster, the marimba, because we were very curious about everything that was happening in the music field. And in New Jersey, I met people from all over the world, teachers from everywhere. And one of the teachers was the one that I really, really liked, Professor Gordon Stout, who did a master class there. And I was like, wow, you know, this is amazing. And he taught at Ithaca College in New York. And I said, Gordon, you know, I really, really would like to study marimba with you. And that was in 1995. I went home. Gordon said, well, sure, you submit an application. We'll see, you know, maybe for next year if we have an opening. And I already pretty much forgot about it until a year after. So I went back to Bulgaria. I got a letter that I'm accepted as a master student with full scholarship at Ithaca College.
Oh, interesting. Yes, wow. How did you meet your wife back then?
We were both at the music school. It was a state music school. And people have, you start your career early in music in Bulgaria. Because
Yes.
pretty much at the music school, 4th grade, you know that you're going to be a musician.
That's really early.
That is, yeah, that's really early, but sometimes it's already late for people. Kids really started there early. Like if you play violin, you have to start at 4 years of age. If you play piano, 5 or 6. Otherwise, it's becoming a little bit too late. So we met at the music school. I applied 7th grade to 12th, like high school. It was musical. Subjects that you need to study: solfege, music theory, music history, harmony, polyphony, music form and analysis, and of course a lot of performing. Major instrument.
Yes.
Piano is a
Piano,
so, yes,
yes.
of course. So that's how we met at the school, but we didn't really knew each other, you know, until we met at the rock concert.
Oh, the rock concert.
We had friends from the school who were forming a rock band, and it was very packed. You know, we were about maybe 11th grade or something like that, and went with a bunch of friends of mine. We sat, and it was so packed that we saw a couple of girls that they just didn't have where to sit. So one sat in my friend's lap, and my wife, I knew her from before, but not that close. She just sat in my lap. And that was the beginning of our relationship.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah, we met, of course, 100 times in the hallways, but we never, you know, talked more than hi, bye, you know.
Oh, very interesting. And so you went to New Jersey to grab your education again in America.
In Ithaca, New York.
In Ithaca.
Yes, Ithaca, New York. So in 96, we already had, my wife is a violist, by the way. She plays
nice.
viola.
Yeah.
Also graduate from the conservatory in Bulgaria. And our younger son was 3 years old. So
And
that's
you
how we came to Ithaca.
Yes. And I was just wondering, how did you like America? Like, I know you had all these tours of Europe, and you speak different languages, but how did you like the United States at the time?
I don't know, for some reason, I always wanted to come here. I always felt like it's a place where you can prosper and do things. Plus, America has one big advantage, that everybody speaks English.
Oh, yeah.
If we go to Europe, we have to speak German or, you know, Finnish
Yes.
or Dutch, you know, which is
yeah.
kind of quite the language.
And so, how were your first years in the Chicagoland area? How did you like Chicago?
Chicago, so there was a little before that. So we did a couple of my master's degree in Ithaca, and then I
Yes.
decided to continue. We had our second son was born there, actually, in Ithaca.
Oh.
So with 2 kids, we decided that it's good to see if we can stay here.
Yes.
So I continued as a student, doctoral student at Oklahoma University.
Oh, wow, Oklahoma.
Yes. Of course, recommended by my professor from Ithaca. There was a great program, percussion there, run by Professor Richard Gibson.
Gibson, yes.
Who had this percussion orchestra, which was very famous in collegiate level. It's just the orchestra that performs every couple of years at the conventions. So I went there because of that. And after I did my coursework, we came to Chicago because at that time my wife's parents were here. So you can do your dissertation finish it from any point after you do the coursework.
When did you finish your dissertation and then get published?
This was in 2003, and I believe after that it took a few months. So 2004 is the official.
Oh, nice.
In May 2004 we went for the ceremony and walking with the gown and everything. Yes. And my dissertation was published. Soon after that, I got a call from a German publishing company who was just looking for different fields for doctoral theses or dissertations. And they said, we would like to publish your dissertation, which was very good for publicity. And because usually when a doctoral student does a dissertation, they only make 3 copies, which have to have, the library there needs to have 3 copies and that's it. But in this case, my dissertation now is available on Amazon.
Wow.
So if you'd like to learn about marimba and Bulgarian asymmetrical rhythms, you can get it on Amazon.
Yes, it is very interesting. And so when did you become a teacher? When did you decide to become a music teacher and help kids?
Still back in Bulgaria, our teacher in percussion was one of the greatest pedagogues there. Pedagogy was just amazing. This is something that we studied also in Bulgaria. So still as a student, I started, having a couple of students here and there, but not as a full-time job. And not until we came to Chicago, people started, somehow I ended up with 30 students.
Wow.
By the word of mouth. Some neighbor calls or somebody else calls. That was after we moved to Glenview, of course.
Oh, yes.
So I decided that it's time to kind of open up a school of music that is close to Glenview, that we can have people come in and out for lessons. And that's how we started the School of Music back in 2005. No, yeah.
And why did you move from Chicago to Glenview? Was it the school or the quality of the education?
The schools in Chicago did not have music.
Oh, yes.
Did not have theater.
They're well known.
Did not have art of any sort. And that was something that we agreed on was very important for us and for the kids. So we started asking around, which area has good schools. And of course, in the North Shore, we have many suburbs that have excellent schools. We started just driving around with the car to see what area we're going to like. Don't believe what you're told, but believe your eyes, so your own eyes. And when we saw Glenview, this was kind of, as I say, love from first sight.
Oh, good, good. Because I know Chicago has so many problems with the teachers union and the strikes, and they're cutting budgets and all the time. So it's wonderful. How long have you been a Glenview resident?
Since 2003. So that is probably, 18
years? Yes.
18, 19, something like that.
When did you start the Northfield School of Music?
Couple years after that, around 2004, 2005, I already had, I tried to teach at some other places, and then officially we started around that same time.
And how many kids do you have, during 1 year, playing different instruments and lessons?
Not that many. We're a small school, but that's because, I'd like to monitor the progress of everybody who takes lessons. We have piano students, we have percussion students that I teach, then we have violin, viola, we have guitar students, we have saxophone students, double bass, tuba, flute, trumpet.
Oh, everything.
Yes, pretty much everything.
Do you have anyone that's famous or, like from your school or became a professional
You know, the
player?
first thing that comes to my mind is my both kids,
Oh, yes, yes.
who turned out to be musicians and percussionists as well. I don't know how it happened, but nobody wanted to study, let's say, to become a lawyer
No,
or
no.
a doctor. They said, no, no way,
Oh.
absolutely not. I want to be a musician. And if that's what they want, if that's where their heart was, I said, sure. And it turned out to be a great decision. First of all, starting with Glenview schools, because when they started, my older one went to Atia for middle school, and this was like the second year that Atia Middle School opened.
Oh,
He
good.
was the first jazz drummer there. We still keep great relationship with the band director there, Mrs.
Oh,
Rutherford.
nice.
Actually, now I teach her kids piano.
Oh, wonderful,
Yes.
wonderful. Do you have any advice for parents? I mean, when's a good age to start with music in general?
As early as possible. As I said, it doesn't need to be that early, but 4 years, I thought 4 years of age, if you want to be a violinist, a good one, that's about the time they start. 5 or 6 for piano, and if you play woodwind instruments, they have to, develop your lungs a little bit later. But in any event, don't wait until you're 16
No,
to decide, I want to be, let me have a guitar, I want to be like the Beatles. It's already too late. Because music takes time to kind of reflect on what your teacher told you. It takes years to build on that and constant practicing every day, every day, every day, every day.
Do you have any advice for parents who are like, they have a perfect instrument, but they want to change, or they want, like, when should parents influence a child to be a musician, and when should they stop? I mean, is there anything like a border between that?
I believe when it's a great idea that the kid can try different instruments, but when you find out that this instrument goes well,
Yes.
he likes or she likes the instrument, and he progresses well, the teacher is happy, stick with that instrument, because
Yes.
that's how you can become better. If you want to be like, if you know a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of guitar, a little bit of trombone, a little bit of percussion, that's fine too, depending on what everybody's goal is. But sometimes I feel like student and teacher spend so many years developing a talent. And even if you think that the kid does not have a talent, at some point it clicks.
Oh, it does.
It clicks,
Good,
and you're like, wow, how did that happen? I thought
Yes.
that I was just talking to the wall.
Yes.
But
And it
they heard
happens.
everything you said. And the relationship between music teacher and a child is very important. Young child
And
stories.
what are your two sons doing right now?
Both of them are currently, after auditioning, they're both now chosen to be associate members of the Civic Orchestra of Chicago.
Wow, that is a major accomplishment.
That is the training orchestra of Chicago Symphony, one of its kind. There's none other orchestra in America, or I don't think in the world, like that. So they both graduated. My older one went to Roosevelt for a bachelor's and artist diploma in music and percussion, and then he did master's at DePaul University. And George, the younger one, is also at DePaul now. He's senior in percussion. So they get a chance to study with famous teachers from the Chicago Symphony, which is great. And then when they go to the Civic Orchestra, they interact with famous people like Riccardo Muti. Well, just the other day they were telling me stories, So it's just a wonderful experience.
And how many CDs do you have published of your music?
Of my music that I recently started, I have 2 since coming to America. One was 2 years ago, I believe. I released with compositions that I just had for a long time. And I decided it's time to get some of my music out. It's kind of, you let it go, you feel better. You've accomplished something.
Yeah.
So it's my original music, which is kind of like film music also. I've been told people like it, but he has a lot of influence from jazz, from Bulgarian rhythms, folk music. The second CD, which I released just a few months ago, is strictly solos for xylophone. And I would love to perform one of those at the end of the interview if there is time for you.
Sure, yes.
Because this is how we keep our musical heritage. And with recordings, I would like to perform something from Rossini. William
yes.
Tell. This was actually when he asked when I started touring. This was my first tour. Was as a soloist, xylophone soloist with a mandolin orchestra.
Mandolin,
yes. At the end of they had like a tour in Spain and in Belgium. At the end of first half, I play Tarantella, Introduction to Tarantella by Sarasate on xylophone.
Oh, good.
In the second half, for the end of the second half, I played William Tell Overture by Rossini.
Nice.
So yeah, love memories, and that's how we preserve our heritage.
George, can you play some music for us?
Absolutely, I would love to.
Please tell me about the piece that you just played.
This was the famous overture of William Tell by Gioacchino Rossini, which I arranged and made like a miniature version so I can perform it for kids and people. This was the last opera that Rossini ever wrote. He was in his not even 40 when he stopped writing music, and this was his 39th opera.
39th
39
opera?
operas,
Wow.
yes. But after that, he stopped.
Wow, very interesting. I'm in my 40s. I've never had that record.
You should listen to it.
Yes.
The whole thing is wonderful.
George, please tell me about the future of Northfield School of Music, your endeavors.
Yes, I wish I had a crystal ball to tell you the future,
Yes.
but I can tell you that what we try to do with my orchestra, which I'm conducting, called the Chicago Soloists, and next season will be the 10th year of this orchestra, which we since we started, and we always try to include young kids and children who perform to play with us as soloists. So the next big thing is going to happen on December 15, right here in Glenview, at Pleasant Ridge Elementary School. We're going to, at 3 o'clock, we're going to have our orchestra, and everybody that is in our school now will have a chance to perform as a soloist. I am personally arranging all the pieces for them, for the orchestra, to give them a chance to experience what is it to be a musician on stage with other musicians. So definitely the future is to give the kids more opportunities to perform and to shine.
And George, please tell me, is this like how many people are in the orchestra?
50 people.
Wow.
Yes, we started as an orchestra with 50 people. We played the same overture that I just played here with the full orchestra.
Are they retired musicians?
It was a nice mix of young musicians, people who live around in the area, and we also had a chance when we started to play with people who just retired from the Chicago Symphony.
Oh, very nice.
Yes, so it was a rare chance for us and them, to younger kids and younger musicians, to interact with people who have been there for 30 years. It was just priceless.
Thank you, George.
Thank you, Diana, for having me. I really appreciate talking to you about music.
Thank you for watching Real People Where Matters. This is Diana Tulchinsky with George Tantchev.